what's happening on a Tuesday. Craig Hoffman, Anthony Haney with you. Haney, of course, the super producer of this here radio program. And I'm not going to lie, Anthony, I feel like this Tuesday doesn't suck. Maybe it's because it's not your typical Tuesday because the game's on Thursday. But this feels very different. He also is like, where does Anthony look different? Now he's all sparkly. He's got his beauty light on. I got sun coming in from all kinds of angles. We're just lit up on a Tuesday, man.
We are indeed. But Craig, quick question. What day is it today?
It's October the 3rd.
On October the 3rd, she asked me what day it was.
I'm glad we got that in off the top of the show.
For everybody wondering, that is a Mean Girl reference. Yesterday is Mean Girls Day.
No, today is Mean Girls Day because it's the 3rd. You said yesterday's.
I thought I just said today.
No, you just said yesterday. We'll check the tape.
Yes.
That was a very silly thing for you to do. Man, if we keep going with this, the same people that are super mad about all the Taylor Swift coverage, despite all of the data that says it's very smart financially, are going to be very mad with us. So let's just keep it moving. And, of course, we want a positive vibe because what day is it, Anthony?
It's Tuesday.
It's a what
It's a
kind of Tuesday?
vibe check Tuesday.
Thank you.
You're
you.
welcome.
God, I went along with your bit just fine, and then here you go, screwing the pooch. Yeah, it's a vibe check Tuesday, where every Tuesday we check the vibe of the fan base, see how we're doing, see how we feel about the win or the loss last week, had a day to kind of get away from the freshness of the emotion. And for the third time this year, or I guess the second time, because the week one was a sellout as well, and there was no previous Vibe Check Tuesday. But we got a second time where we do this segment, and just before the show, Commanders announced we got a sellout on Thursday. I'm a little, I want to say, like, I'm not stunned, but I'm a little surprised. I'm very pleased, and I'm much more tempted to go to FedEx Field Thursday night now.
I'm not going to lie. I had that same thought. I'm like, ooh, a sellout again? And they broke this news, on Tuesday, like 2 days before the game. It's just like, whoa, all right. That's intriguing.
I think it's interesting. I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit, but it is a Vibe Check Tuesday, which means we need you to participate in the show on the Ace Law listener line. If you're in a wreck, Ace Law helps you get a check. Call 8888 Ace Law 301-230-0980. But I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit, Anthony, on this because this is why I'm a little bit surprised. There was a dip in enthusiasm last week. And a metric that I can tell very easily is our YouTube numbers. Like, when we put up segments and things are going well, and either there's big news, so like, yeah, there's little spurts when there's bad news, but especially when things are rolling and people are just excited and interested, they're consuming all of our content en masse. Like, obviously, we appreciate all of you that listen every day, no matter what. Like, that's our goal, to put on a good enough show that y'all are coming here no matter what. But people got a lot of stuff going on in their lives. I mean, there's been a lot of news, obviously, in Washington, D.C., of all places, like, a looming government shutdown's a big deal that probably a lot of people are consuming different information on that. All the other things that are happening on planet Earth. That if you have energy to spend and extra time, why would you spend it on something that would make you mad? That's why we like it when they win, not when they lose. And so I was a little concerned that yes, they had caught this momentum since the sale and things were continuing to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll. And then all of a sudden you hit reality check. Was it actually just a balloon that got too high and then popped and came down, which would be a little bit similar to what classic Greek story, Anthony? It's on the tip of your tongue.
Icarus.
Yeah!
Icarus flying too close to the sun.
That is what we call a callback, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So was it that like the Bills game popped the balloon and it's like, oh, never mind. And it turns out, no, it was just a speed bump. Like, it was rolling along. We had to slow down. In fact, the bandwagon probably didn't and bottomed out a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, right back to it. Hopefully our YouTube numbers do the same. But, from a people showing up at the stadium standpoint, by the way, on a Thursday night, on a weeknight, at FedEx Field, located just off the Washington Beltway, a.k.a. the road that circles around like it's just, a path to hell. Just, you don't ever actually get there. You're just stuck in traffic the whole time. I got lost in that analogy halfway through. The point is, the Beltway blows. Some of you sitting on it right now going, yeah, can confirm. And sold out again. 3 home games, 3 sellouts, man.
It's insane. But going back to your point about, a lack of enthusiasm last week, again, in the season, we are somewhere near that kind of, level. But I'm excited, that the fact everybody's going to be showing up and showing out for this game against the Bears. And I want to ask you a quick question. Do you think it's a trap game just because of how bad the Bears are and, us still having to, prove that we are something?
That's a good question. I'm going to flip it on the fans. I'm going to flip it on the listeners. 301-230-0980. What's your vibe going into this Thursday night football game? It's a vibe check Tuesday, and do you think this could be a trap game for the Commanders? 301-230-0980. We take your calls next on the Ace Law Listener 9 on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980.
Kevin.
They get real Icarus-y, to go back to your Greek mythology days. You remember the story of Icarus, Anthony?
Not quite, Frank.
What do they teach you at Georgetown Prep? Icarus, the guy who flies too close to the sun.
Nope.
What do they teach you at Georgetown? Anthony, I think you just put your job at risk at Georgetown Prep.
Why?
There's no way that they did not teach you the story of Icarus at Georgetown Prep.
We actually did a lot of Greek mythology, but we didn't talk about Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Yes, you did. You don't remember it. I feel very confident. Who can we call
It's okay.
at Prep
I'm
to
ask
confirm
my
this?
kids I will just do that right now, actually.
Okay. I would like you to ask someone of authority. Do we teach about Icarus?
2 hours later.
Did we ever check in on that, Anthony?
Yeah, my classmates actually texted me and said, yeah, we've done it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure out where you were on that day of class at a later date.
You're right.
Last night, Arina Sabalenka makes the U.S. Open final, the Belarusian player, and here's how it sounded on Belarusian television.
Арина Соболенко! Ваму, 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 ваму! Что Арина недостойна звания первой ракетки мира.
Yeah.
Получите! Распишитесь!
Oh, yeah.
Rising up! Back on the street! Did my time, took my chances! When the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens too fast.
Oh,
You change your passion for glory. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the night. Rising up to the challenge of a rival. And they lost, no survival. Все, ребята, я сдулся.
10 out of 10. No notes. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. Don't forget, you can always get us if you're driving around that horrid beltway right now. Go home, get out of your car, walk inside, flip on your TV, open up the YouTube app, click on the Team 980, and we'll be streaming live right there. Just your boys saying hello, doing the same exact sports radio show we do on the radio on your television. That is each and every day, all 3 hours on the Team 980, unless it's Thursday, and then it'll be 4 hours and 15 minutes with starting at 6:30, little bit different look. The Take Command pregame show officially starts at 6:30. We'll just keep the stream going for the Team 980. Logan Paulson joining me from Tap Sports Bar at MGM National Harbor. All right. Vibe Check Tuesday, 301-230-0980 is the telephone number. We call it the Ace Law listener line. Another number you'll need, 8888 Ace Law. If you're in a wreck, they'll help you get a check. But we want to know, like, how you feeling after that Eagles loss with the Bears coming up on deck. 301-230-0980. Let's get things started with our guy, Cliff. Cliff, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, what's going on, Craig?
What's up, Cliff?
I think this game could be a trap game if the Commanders allow it to be a trap game. They played almost toe-to-toe with the Eagles, but it seems like the Commanders are capable of playing up to the higher competition and playing low to the less competition. This could be a trap game if they allow it, but they need to make a statement. They played close enough to beat the Eagles. They need to go out and flat-foot beat the Bears consistently, handily, without going to overtime. And I have a question.
What's up?
Who on the offensive line, which backup offensive lineman or whoever is making $10 million? Because I've been reading Google, and from my understanding, they were saying that Eric Flowers got released because he would have counted $10 million against the salary cap. So whoever's right now making that $10 million and is not playing, they should cut him and bring Eric Flowers back, because that would
Cliff,
probably
Eric Flowers, I appreciate your call as always, Cliff. I have no room in my life for the Eric Flowers discussion, because you want to know the last time that Eric Flowers played NFL football? When he played for the Washington Commanders. No one else picked him up and wants to pay him what he wants to get paid to play football. And that's his prerogative to say, I'm a large man who does damage to my body playing this game, and if I'm not going to get paid $7 million or whatever it is a year, then I'm not playing. But, like, he doesn't want to do that. And we don't even know if he's good anymore. And so people need to just leave the Eric Flowers thing alone. Like, he hasn't played since, 2021? 2020? What are we doing on that? As for the larger point that Cliff made, and by the way, the offensive line, again, it's not as bad as people think. They're not great, but they're not as bad as people think. And, yes, they've given up pressures and sacks, but, like, on 85 to 90% of snaps, like, they're playing really good ball. And it's not like they're playing crappy ball for 90% of the game and then giving up pressures and sacks that are just, some of those are breaking through. Like, they're playing really well, and then every once in a while, the other guys win. As for the larger point about, like, a trap game, I think that's correct. Like, we do kind of forget, because they competed toe-to-toe with the Eagles, and they had the miraculous comeback against the Broncos once they finally got out of their own way, that they did barely beat the Broncos, who are terrible. And they barely beat the Cardinals. So, like, how good are you? Can you play to your own level at all times and not just to the level of the competition? That's a really good sign of a mature team, which is why I think the maturity and character of this team, I think they can go out and beat the Bears handily. Will they? I don't know. It's Thursday Night Football. I think weird stuff happens. I'm not going to put too much stock into this. I'm saying this now, and then we'll see what happens on Friday. But I don't feel like I'm going to put too much stock into this, because Thursday Night Football is it's wacky own little beast. But because it's wacky own little beast, like, you got to be careful about that trap game scenario as well, because it doesn't really matter how good the other team is. In some ways, you're playing yourself on Thursday, as every team plays themselves on Thursdays. Let's keep it going on a Vibe Check Tuesday, 301-230-0980. Noel, I'm sorry that I did not check with Anthony on the correct pronunciation of your name first. So first of all, how do I properly say your name?
No worries, Craig. It's Noel.
Noel. All right. Thanks for calling, Noel. Much appreciated. Go ahead with your point.
Yeah, I think that it obviously could be a trap game, but I feel pretty confident, because I think the team with the Commanders. By the way, I'm a big Commanders fan. My wife and a lot of her friends are Bears fans. But, like, I think that
the house divided.
It is, and like we have like our son like wearing a Bears shirt and then a Commander's hat. It's hilarious when he goes to daycare. Yeah, but I think that as long as we just take the loss from the Eagles and just use it as motivation to just kind of just run ropshot on the Bears, we'll be fine. And I got to tell you, Craig, the morale here in Chicago, I've never seen it as low as it is now, with not just my wife, but friends, family, and just the whole atmosphere just in the city. It is really, really low, and it would be horrific if we lost, but I think we'll be fine so long as we just execute and Sam takes care of the ball and the defense rebounds, and I think we should be good.
So we're our Vibe Check Tuesday now, Noel. Now I'm going to put this responsibility on you to speak on behalf of the city of Chicago. Like, why is it so low now? And also, what are the expectations there about beating the Command? Like, do they look at Washington and it's like, this is a get-right game for us? Or are they like, oh, God, this Howell kid's looks like there's something there. We're about to get our doors blown off.
I just think that it's divided to the point, and I'm really serious about this, where like a lot of them have given up on Justin Fields, and they're really looking forward to just drafting 1 and 2 with that Panthers pick. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, it's really low to the point where, like, if they win the game, they'll probably be frustrated that their draft position is in jeopardy.
Wow.
Just because a lot of them have really given up on Fields. A lot of them really hate the coaching staff. A lot of them hate the front office. Like, there's not a lot of positive things that they can kind of hang on to outside of maybe it's going to be a better area to building the stadium in Arlington Heights, which is actually like 20 minutes from my house as opposed to in the city of Chicago. I don't know. It's rough, man. It's rough for them here, and I'm glad I'm not a Bears fan, and I don't want my son to be.
Yeah,
so.
No, just all right. Your wife gets the shirt, you've got the hat. We got to get some Commander's pants up to Noel in Chicago. Noel, much appreciate the call. Thank you. That was very insightful.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And again, like we did this exercise, Anthony, last week, sometime recently. Like we kind of got on a Bears tangent, and I was like, you guys have to understand that the Bears have literally never had a good quarterback. And we went and looked at the Bears franchise history of quarterbacks, and Jay Cutler is like the best guy they've ever had.
It's bad.
It's horrendous. And so the fact that like that fan base is at its low point now with its history, it's like, oh, now we're fed up. We've never had a good quarterback in 100 years, but this is too much. Tells you something about where they are. But, I mean, God, could you imagine if their first good quarterback ever is Caleb Williams? And he gets to throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. because they get the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah, that would be nasty. That would be nasty.
Yeah.
Hey, look, every squirrel finds a nut. So this might be the Bears.
100 years of wandering through the Chicago streets, and finally the squirrel might find its nut.
Yes.
The Commanders just don't want to be a hiccup in that path. Go ahead, right on to the number 1 pick. We'll take the W. Thank you very much. We'll take one more call, 301-230-0980. Let's go to Dump Truck Don. Don, what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on? Y'all said something about a trap game. Man, in order for a trap game, you have to have a lesser opponent and a superior opponent after that. Nobody's looking at Atlanta like there's some superior opponent there. You focus on Chicago, who's coming to your house. You punch them in the mouth, and then you go to Atlanta and punch them in the mouth too, man. One game at a time. That's how you do those things, man. And the Bears, as far as this whole, what's the name, the quarterback, Justin Fields, whatever.
Yeah.
I called him trash when he came out of college because he came out of college from Ohio State. All Ohio State quarterbacks have been garbage in the league. There's still potential for your boy down in Houston. But
C.J. Stroud's trying his best.
Yeah, he's trying his best, all right? He's trying to break the streak. That's a huge streak because it ain't been a decent one ever. But, yeah, they drafted Justin Fields, and all he is a slightly more athletic Mitchell Trubisky because their stats line up the same. Your boy Fields has got more yards rushing.
Yeah, he's
but statistically, they're the same quarterback, Joe.
Yeah, no, Don, thanks for the call. Like, Fields is as close to Lamar Jackson as a runner as there is in the league that's not Lamar Jackson. Like, he's really, really special as an athlete, and that does leverage them into some things like a lot of their offense that they've been able to get. And, like, you know, he makes stuff happen off schedule. Like, he's dangerous. Anybody who's that skilled is dangerous, but he's also not good at quarterbacking. And you have to wonder, like, how much of that is Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, and Matt Eberflus and the staff up there, and how much of that is just Justin Fields could have gone to Kyle Shanahan, and it wouldn't have worked a la Trey Lance not working. It's impossible to know. I got to try to. I'm gonna reach out to our guy Danny Parkins up in Chicago and see if we can get Danny on either tomorrow or Thursday to talk about it. But yeah. As far as the trap game thing, that's actually where I come down. Like, we asked the question, and some people might think it, but Anthony, you're the one who asked me, and I was on with Awad in Richmond earlier, and he asked me as well, and my answer is no. Like, you have to have. I think Don said that well, actually. Like, what's trapping you? The Falcons next? Like, no, that's not. There's nothing big to look forward to. Unlike, say, the Bills. Could the Commanders have been a trap game for them? Well, no, because they were 2-0 at the time, but they had the Dolphins coming in next. You get caught looking ahead, but also, like, I don't think the Commanders are good enough to be trapped by anyone. So that's where I'm at, and that should be where they're at. Like, you've lost 2 games in a row, one of which you got your clock cleaned.
Yeah, I just didn't want the team to be looking at how everybody else is looking at the Bears as this team that just can't get right, to be honest. And they're just bad, man.
Yeah, I feel like,
and the thing
I
is,
think there is a chance that you don't take them seriously.
Last year, I don't think we took them seriously, and to be honest, we should have lost that game. Again, this is basically the same defensive unit, and the fact that the Bears and I went last year really spoke volumes to the team. But I'm just saying, I don't want that to be the same case, same situation this year, where we're barely beating a team that is terrible.
Do I dare read the box score from the game last year?
I think you should, because it was bad.
All right, I'm just gonna. I feel like I need to tell everybody that's driving right now: 2 hands on the wheel, take a deep breath, don't internalize these numbers so that you don't drive off the road. Carson Wentz went 12 of 22 for 99 yards. He had a 15.6 QBR. Brian Robinson went 17 carries for 60 yards. That's 3.5 per, although he did score a touchdown, which is nice. Justin Fields, 14 of 27 for 190, a touchdown and a pick. He did have 12 carries for 88 yards rushing. Khalil Herbert also went 10-6 a carry thanks to a 63-yarder. He went 7 for 74. David Montgomery, 15 for 67. So the Bears did run it a little bit on them last year.
A lot of bit, Craig.
If you count the Fields yardage, some of which was like mega scramble yards, not all by design, then there was 237 total. So I guess a lot of it. But the game, remember, turned on a fumble, like a muffed punt.
Yep.
So let's not rely on that. Although I will say,
Deron Payne getting his hand, John Allen getting an interception on like the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Justin Fields overthrowing the tight end in the flat wide open.
I would say though, who wouldn't love a Tress Way redemption game?
You're right.
Tress, force them fumbles, bro. Let's do it. All right, it's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. When we get back, we got time for a couple more calls if y'all want to keep it going. 301-230-0980. Plus, we also take a look weekly at the snap counts and see what they tell us. And I actually think there's some interesting data in the snap counts this week. Some guys that went missing, some guys that are playing too much. We'll dive into it next on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. Fortier, how are you, and are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you sent me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I got to say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's yes.
James Smith Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say
What's
something?
up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's headphones.
Quick. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So,
Well,
forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now, that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're going to have to investigate. Was that, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian, and I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelce confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very... It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Coming up at the top of the hour, Lynnell Willingham stops by for Overreaction. We take our weekly look at the snap counts. Who's playing, who's not. And I think there's some interesting stuff on both sides of the ball here. And we're going to start on the defensive side of things, where Benjamin St-Juste, Kendall Fuller, they continue to play 100% of the snaps. Cody Barton, same. And Derek Forrest, same. Cam Curl, also 100%. Then it's like, okay, who was on the field the most? Deron Payne, which makes some level of sense, although Deron Payne playing 67 of 71 snaps is a lot of bleeping snaps for him, man. Like, that is way too high in my estimation. Although, obviously, taking Deron Payne off the field is hard. But in a game where PFF gives him a 49.2 pass rush grade, could he bring that number down from 67 of 71 to, 55 and be more effective in those 55 snaps? I think the answer is probably yes. And then the guy who plays the next most snaps, which tells you something about the personnel that they had on the field, is Emmanuel Forbes. And I know that the Eagles use, they use 3 wide receivers on the field a lot. In fact, let me actually look this up real quick. Of the 71 offensive snaps, Zacchaeus, their third receiver, plays 61. So, Brown plays 68, Devontae Smith plays 70. And then you got Britton Covey, who also plays 6. And Zacchaeus plays 61. So they got 3 receivers on the field basically all the time. And, Dallas Goedert plays literally every snap. He plays 71 of 71 at tight end, and he's lines up as a receiver a lot of the time, so they might have liked the St-Juste matchup on him or however they wanted to align it. But it does tell you about what defensively they'd like to be and who they'd like to have on the field. The problem is, they kept putting Forbes in situations where he's got to be matched up with A.J. Brown on a day where A.J. Brown took his lunch. And some of it is bad luck. Some of it is, hey, you're in good position. The other guys get paid too. But some of it is a young guy who got taken advantage of, and he's still learning. And, yes, there's a live with the mistakes element to your first-round pick. But Anthony, that's a lot of snaps for Emmanuel Forbes. And I know we wanted him on the field more, but like you also have to play the game that's happening in front of you. And when a guy's having that kind of day, you do wonder if there's other solutions out there, and whether that's more Percy Butler, who only played 19 snaps, whether it's I guess they're not very confident in Quan Martin. He didn't play any defensive snaps again. Nope. But it goes to show you like why your roster construction is so important. Like if Quan, you drafted Quan in the second round, it shouldn't be unplayable defensively. Like that's not good. You hope he obviously develops long term into a good player, and it's not a total bust. He's doing a good job on special teams, but like that they had a problem. They tried to address it, and it does not look like the player they tried to address it with in Quan Martin is ready to help them out when the guy that they're willing to invest long term in as a first rounder, Emmanuel Forbes, is not having the best of days.
Yeah, I mean, I was interested to see if they would possibly make a switch. Last year when we played the Eagles, we had Benjamin St. Juste on A.J. Brown. He's a bigger, more lengthier corner. For a guy like A.J. Brown, but, they wanted to stick
played him well last year.
Yep, he played him solid. So I was more so curious about if they were going to make that switch, but they ultimately didn't. But I am, more concerned, again, about the defense's, just slow start to the season in general. Yes, this was a real bad game for Forbes, and Ron, every time people ask him about the defense, he's been quick to, point out Forbes. I just think it's not just a Forbes thing. It's more so like the defense as a whole, just getting off to these slow starts season after season. And before, the season started, I definitely did say I want the defense to not, have to go through 5, 6, 7 games in order to, start to get going. And that's generally, what we see. Kendall Fuller, he's had a season where he got off to a slow start, ended the season strong. So maybe with Forbes and, the rest of the defense, eventually things will start to click. It's just 4 games in and another season where Jack Del Rio's defense off to another slow start.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of it is Forbes in this particular game.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, this game, yep.
But how can they make life better for him, right? So, it is, but it isn't. To be very clear, it's the explosive plays.
Yep.
That is what is killing them. Down in some ways, that's similar to, the sacks pressures thing on the offensive line, where people are like, oh, the O-line, it's giving up this. And it's like, yes, sacks are bad. But how are you playing on the plays where you don't give up sacks? They're playing pretty well. And on the defensive side, how are they playing on the plays where you're not giving up explosives? Pretty well. But if you give up, 5 explosive plays in a game, you're losing by a lot unless your offense is having a hell of a day on the other side, which is how you wind up losing 34-31. And they gave up explosive plays, and some of them are basically single-handedly on Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah.
But nothing is actually single-handed in football, because if Chase Young or Montez Sweat or John Allen or Daron Payne gets pressure, then maybe there's not enough time for that ball to get out. Or you have a situation where a guy gets beat, but Hurts takes a hit as he's throwing it, and it winds up becoming a lollipop interception. It is on Forbes to be way better, and that's the life with a young player. But can the defense do more up front and be the dominant unit that they're supposed to be to not expose him to opportunities as often? That, to me, is where it becomes more of a team game. And why I have a question why Casey, Chase Young played 63 of 71. Montez Sweat played 58 of 71. That's a lot of bleeping snaps, man. And it's hard to be as explosive and powerful and effective when you're on the field that much. You got to pull those guys back a little bit. James Smith-Williams plays 16, and you'd like to get him up, maybe up around 20. Casey, let's get him around 15 instead of 5.
Yeah.
And if they can get F.A. back, they should definitely bring F.A. back, and maybe you supplement with him. But however you want to do it, let's get a little less volume, a little less quantity, and a little more quality out of those defensive snaps. I think on the D-line, that seems to me like it would be a helpful solution. On the offensive side of things, Cole Turner played 6 snaps. Byron Pringle played 18. I know I'm going to have to bring this up with Logan because he's, of course, the tight end here. But for considering they liked this tight end group and thought we could stand pat, and a lot of people were like, no, you can't. That doesn't really give me a lot of confidence in their confidence level and their tight end group. And I know it's hard, right? Because you got to get how do you get all these guys on the field? You know you want Logan Thomas on the field. Okay, he plays 62 of 78. Cool. Terry plays 70 or 63 of 78. Jahan 56, Curtis 54, B-Rob 43, Gibson 30. Like eventually and if you want to get Diambi on the field who plays 25, like eventually there's only so many eligible spots to get guys out there. But it does make me a little when I see like, hey, Cole Turner, potential weapon, you guys talk him up, and then he's on the field for 6 snaps. Like that's weird to me.
Do you think it's because they don't want to be like too predictable? Like when he's out there, he's not out there. You don't have him out there to block.
Passes.
Yeah, he's out there to be a weapon or go out and catch some passes. So I think that's more so like what it is. But I think even with predictability, like you still got to be able to execute.
Well, here's the thing: like you don't have to just use him in place of Logan Thomas. Like, do you use him with Logan Thomas?
That
like,
too.
Can you get out there? I mean, the problem is like, okay, you come out in 12 personnel, and it's Turner and Thomas. Is that too much of a giveaway? Because if you just want to run the ball with 2 tight ends, you put John Bates in there. So like it is a bit of a wacky situation that they're in, and it is hard because there's only so many snaps to go around, and at the end of the day, Cole Turner is their 3rd tight end. But I think it's interesting from a personnel standpoint, a formation standpoint, like all that kind of stuff that they've kind of settled into. Nope, we're going to be way wide receiver heavy, considering where Bieniemy comes from.
Exactly.
And, I also don't think that's a bad idea, though, because, like, again, this is not – bringing up this stuff is not always criticism. You see all these wide receivers on the field, and then you look at the target list, and I'd rather have 10 targets for Terry, 9 for Curtis, and 8 for Jahan every day of the week over a bunch of Cole Turner stuff. So, in that way, it 100% works out. I just thought it was interesting and worthy of pointing out, and we'll have to see if that continues to be something that is a pattern, or was that specific to what they wanted to do against Philly. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. When we get back, what else happened this weekend? Our weekly look at the non-Commanders, non-NFL storylines from the weekend that's next on the Hoffman Show. Here's
tried to warn you, bro. It is a mess in downtown Nashville every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Not even
we moved hotels the next night. I still am waiting on my refund for that. But yeah, we moved hotels the second night.
Wow.
It was fun. You say they rely on them. We went to brunch with my buddy the next day, who is a Nashville native and has lived in Nashville long enough that he remembers when it was more than just the Bachelorette capital of the world. And he's like, yeah, we're pretty much on the woo girl economy.
Yeah, that's precisely what's going on. The downtown businesses cater to that. If you try to get it shut down, you're probably the one getting thrown out. It is what it is right now. It's weird, but Nashville, baby. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I will add one more small part to this story, and this is the part, frankly, that I've been waiting to tell you all week as well. That was kind of part one. We got quality Yates reaction. Part two, as we leave the hotel the next morning to go to breakfast. Remember, the wall's very thin. So it's not going where you think it's going. But as we walk down the hallway, my dear sweet wife just starts saying in a slightly elevated volume of voice, it's been proven that the later groups stay out and make noise and all this stuff at their bachelorette weekend, the higher the divorce rate.
Oh God!
In the wedding,
so
and also the better chances,
basically.
And also the better chances.
Wow. Okay. Okie dokie. So Rachel was pissed, basically.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the woo girls. They say on the internet, like, feel free to post stuff, like your friends' photos, do whatever. But like whatever you do for your own well-being, don't read the comments. Comment section, bad idea. What do we do?
We read those comments, baby.
That is exactly what we do. That was a little bit better. I still feel like that one was a little muted. I think sometimes it feels like you build yourself up a little too much, and then sometimes you don't
I ain't
quite
want to
go
go
for it.
screaming all the way. The thing is, though, my mic is a little lower than yours, so maybe I could have actually, did what I really.
Mike also moves. You can go, ooh. Did you know you could play tricks with a microphone?
I think I'll try that next time.
Okay. You want to give another shot?
We read those comments, baby.
There we go. All right. I feel ready now. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Later in the show, Anthony, I want to talk about Quan Martin a little bit more and just kind of the larger picture. Just put a pin in that. It's starting to get a lot of run on Twitter right now. The Quan Martin hasn't played a single defensive snap all year discussion because Ron was asked about it today. So we're going to stick a pin in that. And I want to talk about it later because there is some stuff to talk about. There is, for lack of a better phrase here, there's some meat on that bone. So
it is indeed.
We're going to eat later.
Yes, sir.
Right now it's time for a look at what else happened this weekend, our weekly check on the non-NFL things that happened over the weekend in DC sports and beyond. And I'm going to start with where I was on Saturday night. And that was at Audi Field where Trinity Rodman struck again. Washington Spirit needed a win. They had not won a game. Many ties, many points gathered, but they had not outright won a game, gotten 3 points in a regular season game since June. Yet they found themselves right in the middle of the playoff picture. They still are, thanks to the fact that they got all 3 points against the bottom of the table, Kansas City, on Sunday night or Saturday night. And it happened thanks to their best player. Trinity Rodman is that at this point. I mean, they've got so many good ones that it's hard to say too definitively. Like Andy Sullivan's still great. Ashley Sanchez, great. Ashley Hatch, great. Aubrey Kingsbury, great. But like Trin is one of one in terms of her style and her level in this league. There's just no one that has the speed that she has with the strength. There are others that maybe even are better players that have similar combinations, but she is just special. And I think the thing that separates her, that puts her in her own category, is exactly what we saw on Sunday night, which is that you cannot lose track of her for 90 minutes. Like, end of the game, she has got that last sprint in her. And lo and behold, in a tie game late, Spirit gave up a bad goal early, like 20-ish minutes into the game. They're down 1-0. They get one back early in the second half. And when it looks like it's going to be a tie game, all of a sudden, out of literally nothing, Gabby Carley finds her up the sideline, and she just runs past 3 people, slides the ball past AD Franch, and Spirit win, get 3 points. The place goes absolutely bananas. It was a great crowd at Audi. And now, with 2 games left, including one of Megan Rapinoe's final regular season games with OL Reign Friday night in Seattle, and then they were back home for their season finale against Chicago or against North Carolina. They're in full control of their playoff destiny, and if things go right, they can win these 2 games, get a little bit of help. They could host a playoff game at Audi, which will be fantastic. Raucous crowd. I think the season finale against North Carolina might sell out. Like, that was nuts to just see, like, the clutch gene in sports is amazing. And, like, one of my favorite things, I think, Anthony, is when something feels inevitable. And this happened to an extent in the Commanders game. Like, I don't know about you, but I felt like they were going to score. After they give up the touchdown, the Eagles leave that much time, and you're like, I think they're going to do this. Like, I don't know how. And then as soon as the ball hits the ground on the second to last play of the game, when Sam dirts it in front of Curtis, you're like, all right, that was bad, but, like, I think they're probably going to go score now.
We still got time. Yep.
Yeah, and then they did. And I feel that's what it kind of felt like, is when she scored, you're like, oh, of course that's how this ends, because she's Trinity Rodman, and Trinity Rodman is inevitable.
That's a gut feeling to have. I don't think we've had that in quite some time. Maybe with the Nationals.
Juan Soto felt like that for a while.
Yeah, but that was some years ago though. Like, I guess it's just good to have that, renewed sense of, like, hope. I feel like with the Warriors, like, they probably have that feeling all the time, just because how great Steph, Clay, and Draymond are. Like, oh, we're down 15.
Steph's about to go on a run,
Exactly.
and if he's not, Clay's going to hit 1,000 shots in a row.
Exactly.
Like, there's an inevitability to greatness that is, like, that's why it's great. Is like, you can count on it. And sure enough, like, Sanchez has done this a couple times for them this year too, but, like, for Trin, she just finds, and sometimes it's, it's a pass. It's not always that she scores, but, in the championship game in 2021, like, she, out of nothing, creates this opportunity, and Kelly O'Hara knocks in the game-winning goal in the very end of that game. And it's like, of course it was Trin. Of course it was. And that's what it was like on Saturday night at Audi. It was sick.
That's lit, man.
Are you coming to the season finale? Are you coming to the North Carolina game?
When is it?
The 15th.
Hold on.
Come on.
Let me pull up this. That's a Sunday. Ooh, I think I'll bring my kids.
Okay.
I'll bring some prep kids.
Okay.
Season finale. What time of the day?
I think it's like a 5 o'clock.
Oh yeah, we can do that. We can make that happen.
Yeah. So, like,
that's dope.
We're gonna have to move around the Take Command schedule, because I'm not missing the season finale.
Yeah.
So the Take Command postgame show is gonna be a little later that day, or I'll just do it from right here, and then I'll walk across the street to Audi.
That would be lit.
So we'll get that all figured out. Doc, sorry, I know you're doing a radio show right now, but I gotta do a YouTube stream. I'll figure it out. Other things that happened this weekend. WNBA championship is set. Liberty defeat the Sun, so they're going to take on the Aces. Anthony, who you got?
You already know who I got. Whoever you're not
team.
going with.
Wow.
Who are you going with, Craig?
Did you really just ask me that?
You're going with the Aces and Alicia Clark.
Hell yeah, I'm going.
I'm going with the Liberty, baby.
I would be going with the Aces no matter what, because I think they're better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm rolling with my homie AC. Like, duh.
I gotta see Stewie get it done, man.
Her and Stewie have won rings together. Now she's gonna be like, sorry, Stewie, this one's mine. 3 for AC.
Hey, look, Stewie gonna get it done. Sabrina gonna get it done.
John Cole Jones is playing real well.
gonna get it done. Yep.
They're playing well.
Vandersloot.
Yeah. I mean, congrats to all of them. I'll take Chelsea Gray. I'll take Asia Wilson. I'll take Asia Wilson.
And you said who?
And Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait either. It's going to be a blast. Unfortunately, we have to actually physically wait for it, because it's not until the 8th that game 1 happens. And then the Drew Holiday trade, which we're going to have to find time to talk about at some point.
Yeah.
Obviously, the NBA season's coming up fast. By the way, now would be a good time to mention, on YouTube, if you are not subscribed, you need to do that. expeditiously, unless you prefer to listen to interviews in podcast form, in which case, if you're not subscribed to the Hoffman Show podcast, you should do that expeditiously, because going up is all of our coverage from Wizards Media Day, one-on-one conversations with Will Dawkins, which is available right now, Kyle Kuzma, which will be available within the next hour, Tyus Jones, Corey Kispert, Denny Avdia, Wes Unseld Jr. as well. All of them coming to our on-demand platform. So if you're not subscribed, at the Team 980, at Craig Hoffman, or the Hoffman Show podcast feed, now would be a good time to check that out. All right, that's what else happened this weekend. Coming up next, Lynnell joins us for Overreaction Tuesday. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, a show that will bring you the analysis of Logan Paulson coming up at the bottom of the hour in the form of a Take Command Tape Tuesday. What happened on defense? How concerned should we be? That coming up at 5:30. Pick 6 at 6 coming as well, but right now it's become a tradition unlike any other, although that's a phrase that CBS uses for the Masters, and I cannot think of anything that is more opposite the Masters than Lynnell Willingham's hot takes on a Tuesday.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
Overreaction Tuesday time. Lynnell Willingham is with us, and Lynnell, we sit you on your couch. That way you're nice and relaxed because we got to have something to balance the fire of takes. We do this every Tuesday after a game. This one an overtime loss. So coming out, actually, I was in a weird spot coming out of this game because the game-winning field goal goes in, and I'm like, okay, they played fine. I'm generally all right.
Yeah,
I'm cool with this. How did you feel in kind of the immediate aftermath of the game?
it was just darn, I wish Reed Blankenship's arm wasn't in the way of Terry McLaurin's foot, that. It really bothered me. It's one of those things where, on the pregame show, I predicted the team to win. I really was confident in their ability to come out and respond based on how bad they played last week. So, the fact that they were in it at the end wasn't a total surprise to me. I was just ultimately disappointed in the plays that they didn't make. I think we use the cliche all the time, it's a game of inches. None more true than on Sunday against Philadelphia, man. It was 6 or 7 plays where it's if the defender's hand is that much bigger, he gets the deflection, or if you get there a tick sooner, you get a sack. So it was tough, though.
Tough. That's the league. That's the league for sure. And when you're in a close, that's kind of the funny thing about the game on Sunday. It is a couple plays here or there. That's the nature of a close game. That's the nature of being competitive, but the better teams make the plays. And that's why the Eagles are the Eagles and the Commanders are the Commanders so far. And that goes everything from making plays to referees seeing, Terry's foot out when I think a lot of us thought that was in, to coaching decisions, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well. All right, let's get into the takes. So if you're new listening or watching this, Lynnell, notorious for his flaming hot takes. He brings them to our show, notorious for really not having flaming hot takes. And I judge whether or not his takes are overreaction. So what's your first take off this game?
My first take is I want to go to the offensive side of the football, and I'm going to start with the offensive line. I've kind of already had this reaction, but I will give it again. I think all the overreaction we had during the summer about this group, I think each of the first 4 weeks they've come out and shown that they're a lot better than what we give them credit for. I'm willing to go out and say I think they're playing right now like a top half of the league unit, and they're not the reason that Washington is losing games or is 2-2 at the moment. I think they're more of a strength than a weakness right now.
Ooh, the wording there. Yeah, no, I think that's not an overreaction. I would say their top half is a little strong, but they're they could be if they're 14th best in the league. I don't watch enough O-line play.
I would give them between 16 and 19 or
I don't have an O-line rankings handy at all times. I don't have time to do that, to watch every O-line in the league, and I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm looking at, but I can look at the stats of time to throw and yards before contact, and there's statistical stuff that can be indicators of how well an offensive line unit is playing. And generally speaking, they're playing fine. They're not playing great by any stretch. I think that they were good in this game. And, one of the things that's important, we actually talked about this morning on Take Command, something I wind up saying a lot in this segment based off when we do it after talking to Logan on Tuesdays, 65, okay for 7, and then you give up 5 sacks. And that's actually a better performance because for 65 of 77 plays, you played really well. And I think that's what this team does is more often than not, they're pretty good. They're giving Sam good pockets. They're not giving up a ton of pressure. It's just when they're bad, it's really bad. And against Arizona, one of those is devastatingly bad. They win the game, but the sack fumble, that's really bad. Against Buffalo, really, really bad. A lot of those pressures lead to the bad Sam stuff. Sam obviously doesn't help them out a lot. But I think down in and down out, this unit's doing a pretty good job. Again, nothing spectacular. They're not giving Sam outrageous time to throw. They're not just gashing people in the run game, but they're playing all right. And I do think that, like, when you talk about why they're 2-2 and the 2 on the bad side, it's hard to pin it on the O-line.
I don't think you can pin it on them at all, man. I'm gonna piggyback off what you said. I think EB in the play calling last week, I think helped, and that kind of gets into my next overreaction, Craig. The offense is back, right? If they found their identity, they found their bread and butter. They just need to mimic Sunday's game plan for the next 15 weeks or for the next 14 weeks, so to speak, right? I was thrilled with what they did offensively. It was damn near perfect to me, coming out with 2 back-to-back touchdown drives. I think EB did a really nice job accentuating the strengths of the offense and Sam Howell, constantly putting them in position to have success. And the one thing that we talked about that I was really proud with is the patience with the running game. Anytime you commit to the running game, Craig, you know this, you got to be okay with a 0-yard gain. You got to be okay with a -1 play, because eventually those 10-yard pops will start to come. And after Sunday, Brian Robinson, second in the NFL in first down runs, so he got his groove back a little bit as well. But I think the offense is humming, and they look like, when it clicks, Craig, and this may be the overreaction of all of this, when they've got it all figured out on offense, I think they're a top 10 unit. Like, they have legit balance. They have the quick passing game. They can push it down the field when they need to. And the offensive line has allowed them to do some of the things that we questioned.
Yeah. So the offense has given up. I'm trying to see scoring offense. Let's see in general. No, just give me points per game. Why did I try to get fancy with looking up stuff? Just give me team stats. Give me offense. Give me points per game.
The eye
I'll
test,
get it in a second.
look, you may not even need the numbers, because you watch the game over the eye test. They definitely passed it for the majority of the 4 quarters on Sunday, or I guess 5 quarters since we got some OT.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that they are. Like, you're right. Like, I think when they're rolling offensively, like, they are one of the best in the sport because of the skill position guys they have, because how they move the ball around. All right, here we go. Points per game. They're kind of middle in the pack. They're 22-3 a game. The other thing I just was looking up, Lynnell, is like, how many times, this is why I love StatMuse, because you can literally type in a question and it'll give you the answer. How many times have the Washington Commanders scored 30 points since 2020? So since Ron took over, the answer is 6, and 2 of them have happened in the first 4 games this season with Eric Bieniemy. So that tells you just how dynamic this offense can be and how productive. Like, they're good in the red zone. They can create explosive plays. Like, they score points, which is the whole point of offense. And I think it's really exciting. Can they hold up? Can they do it against every opponent? Like, what was it about what Buffalo did that other teams are going to be able to repeat? That's a good test. Like, or is it unique to Buffalo? Like, Miami scored 70 on Denver and they scored 20 on Buffalo. So it tells you that that unit is real good for the Bills. They might, they're kind of pushing the 49ers for the best team in football right now. And so I look at that more as an outlier. And generally speaking, I think this team is going to continue to put up points, put up yards. And I agree with you there. And they should get better, because they've got a quarterback who has no mental bank of anything. Like, he has no experience, and all he's doing is stacking experience after experience. But I agree with you. I also loved the game plan. I loved how they moved the pocket. I loved how they were able to get Curtis touches in space, Terry touches in space, get different guys involved. Big spot. Logan Thomas comes up with a big catch to get them down in the red zone. And the thing is too, like, the efficiency of the offense leads to a lot of this success, because how do you get 10 targets for Terry, 9 for Curtis, and 8 for Jahan? By running 77 plays, which means you're converting on third down, where they were 8 of 17, which, like, isn't great percentage wise necessarily, but they had 17 third downs. Like, there's teams in the NFL that scored, or that's like a third of their play total for the entire game. Like, they have 44 plays, I think, in Carolina, I think, ran like that number or something like that this weekend. So it just shows you, man, like, the EB effect. Yeah, back. I don't know what back means. Back means consistently, and we're still so early in the season, but like, yeah, they're capable each and every week. Like, if I'm the Bears and I'm all these other defensive coordinators on the schedule, I'm like, oh crap, playing Washington's gonna suck.
The consistency is going to be the big thing for me. Is does Bieniemy have the discipline to stay balanced? Because there was a point in that first half where, like, you're only averaging 2.9 yards a pop on the ground, but you only have 4 more pass attempts than you do rush attempts, and I think that balance really helped them out. The quick game, like, they look their best when they're in the quick game, and that kind of supplements some of these runs because a quick game hitch that gets you 4 yards is like a run that puts you in 2nd and 6. So as long as they can end up in those 3rd and manageables, you'll see the 3rd down percentage continue to go up.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. Some of their sacks set them up with some really bad 3rd downs, and they didn't convert them because